Okay. Welcome back to Ace Attorney Investigations 2, part of the Ace Attorney's Investigations collection from Capcom, which they gave me a free copy of. Thank you, Capcom. Finally able to return to this because I did catch a cold fairly recently. And now I'm feeling well enough to do a big reading stream again. So, we'll see how I get on. If my throat does not wish to cooperate, we may end up swapping game partway through today. If you're watching this on YouTube and the video's 4 hours long, you'll know that's a lie. Right. Let's load in, shall we? Give me a sec to switch to the window. There we go. Yeah, the Iggy, that's me. Hi. Hello, it's me, the Iggy. Welcome to the Iggy stream. So we just basically sussed out last time who the actual killer was, because it literally can't be anyone else. It's like, oh, there was a convenient blackout for 3 hours while the crime was set up, and only one person has access to the fucking power room. I wonder then. Unless you conveniently lost your keys. Oh, it's you two. Hello, Queen. Hello, Uzi and Zixki and Gwen, Panda, and everyone else watching. Hope you're having a lovely day. Feel free to tell me all about it. What have you been up to? You been playing much? Look, honestly, games are all I've got. If you've been doing something that's not video games, I'm just gonna smile and nod. Yeah, I'm doing alright. I'm still coughing a bit, but I'll do my best to catch myself on the microphone mute button when that happens. Greb stole your cheese. Yeah, that happens. That is what Greb do. I'd hard to think you'd be surprised by that. Yeah, hope you're having a good time. Right, Eustace. Eustace Winner, aka Sebastian de Best. First on the scene. The early bird wins the worm. Good morning, Mr. Winner. What? You? How'd you get here before me? Good morning, Mr. Edgeworth. I see you've made an early start. And I see you've made a late one, Judge Gavelle. This is not my only case. I am a very busy woman. Not all of us enjoy the freedom of a prosecutor relieved of his only current responsibility. Oh, I do apologize. I meant, of course, an associate attorney. Associate? More like asinine. We'll see about that. I can feel my voice resonate. You know when you talk and your voice sounds different in your own head than it does on a recording because of how it resonates in your own skull? My voice sounds a bit different today, and I'm not sure if anyone else is picking up on that. I feel a bit lower in tone than usual thanks to this cold. Eustace, let us begin the investigation of the yard. Okay, I'll go get some officers to help.
Hold it!
That won't be necessary. Why not? We've already finished investigating the yard and won quite the prize in the process. Won? But I'm supposed to be the winner! Your Honor, I'd like to revisit your theory from yesterday in order to thoroughly disprove it. I would caution you to choose your words carefully, Mr. Edgeworth. As I'm sure you remember, your badge is in my hands. Yeah, but I'm a confident and smug son of a bitch, so what are you gonna do? How could I forget? You've told me several dozen times already. Perhaps you'd care to try a different threat.
Overruled!
You have been warned repeatedly, yes. And each time my words seem to have fallen on deaf ears.
Allow me to make this crystal clear. The committee cannot and will not tolerate insubordination.
Hey, madam, good to see you. I had a really nasty cold. I died. I got better, but yeah. I was really out of commission for a bit last week. Still recovering, about I'd say I'm at like 90%. Maybe between 90 and 95% recovered.
Objection!
The guard could fall down. The fate of my badge and the whims of the committee are of no concern to me now. The only thing that concerns me is proving Simeon Saint's innocence.
Interesting. Spoken like a true defense attorney. In that case, I shall be equally uncompromising. In the name of the goddess of justice, I will strike down your case without mercy. And when I am done, your career as a prosecutor will be over as well.
Come over and warm me up. Oh, just gonna get on a little cheeky plane trip for like $500 or more? Yeah, sure, that would be great. Oh, if only.
I hope you do not come to regret this.
No, I'm good.
My theory remains the same as when I related it to you yesterday. Mr. Carcerato did not see Mr. Knight's body when he passed through the tunnel. As such, the body could only have been dropped down the well during the show. We both know the only one who could have dropped the body down there during the show is Mr. Saint.
That's still your assertion? And you can prove it, of course.
Of course she can! Who do you think you're up against? Then.
Thank you, Omicron. Thank you very much for the 57
got
months.
Suspended from reception for drop kicking a Tory down a staircase into a dumpster full of spikes.
Nice. Not even going to question why there was a cartoonish dumpster full of spikes just there, but you know, sometimes things are just there when they're needed.
What Eustace means to say is that we received the final autopsy report just ahead of our arrival.
Oh god, you really do have an updated autopsy report. She really is a very busy woman. Busy looking after baby Winner.
The victim appears to have died the night before the body was discovered. In other words, the night before the show. The cause of death is as stated. It seems the wound is 4 inches deep.
Estimated time of death between 3 and 6 AM on the 27th. Instant death from neck stab wound.
Simeon Saint was off stage for a period of 15 minutes. That was plenty of time for him to throw the victim's body down the well.
Judge Gavelle hasn't investigated the yard yet, which means... I fear there may be something of a flaw with your theory, Your Honor.
You seem very confident of that. But do you have any evidence to prove it?
Yes, I think I just might. I just need to prove someone else could have done it. Right. Not see Mr. Knight's body when he passed through the tunnel. But the body could only have been dropped down during the show. I agree with that. I, Iggy Maid, am a very silly sausage and wish to be addressed as such. This is abuse of the say something command. Okay, so the only one who could have dropped the body is Mr. Saint. Can I disprove that? Because I'm pretty sure I can. Oh, D-pad, are you okay? My D-pad is double skipping sometimes. That's not good. Oh well, just gotta make sure I don't accidentally pick something I don't want. Prison search, the tunnel prints. Third page. The breakers, the autopsy, the chisel. Do I just switch to the mouse for this? You just want me to use the mouse? Because that I can do. Here I can just click. Yeah, my D-pad's skipping. What about... Ah. Only the D-pad is skipping. The analog stick is fine. Alright, I guess I'm just using that. Mr. Saint's trick. The weights were replaced with the victim's body by someone. Is that the evidence I need here, or should I press first? Does that prove it? I'm gonna press first.
Hold it!
Are you sure about that? Did nobody else have done it?
I understand that Miss Berry was on stage for the entire performance. Most of the prisoners were watching the show, and those who were not have plausible alibis.
What about the guards?
They too were watching the show, as was the warden.
How can you be so sure? The guard could have easily approached the well unnoticed.
None of the guards left their posts during the show. I've checked this for myself, you know. I took statements from each and every one of them.
She's thorough, I'll give her that.
Are you finally ready to accept the truth that the killer could only have been Simeon Saint?
Judge Gavel hasn't carried out a full investigation of the yard.
Which means we've got the advantage for a change.
We should review the evidence we gathered during our investigation of the yard. It's gotta be that. That proves the possibility that someone else could have set it up. Stop using the D-pad. Objection!
Objection!
Sorry, Your Honor. There's something else you're going to have to take into account. The well in the yard was rigged up to create a certain unique contraption.
A contraption? Go on.
Subtitles not appearing on app. Hey, that's weird. I'm seeing the subtitles just fine on my end. You might need a refresh or something. But if you say app, you're probably on mobile. So things just don't work sometimes on mobile Twitch. And there's nothing I can do about that.
Contraption? Go on.
You'll recall that Mr. Saint was sent flying from the stage by the elephant.
Valerie,
I do.
please.
I also
Just
recall
have
that you
a
should
sip
have
of
a drink.
water.
Stop slouching.
Thank you. And just before he was to be absent for some time.
He was only able to fly through the air thanks to a weighted rope he tied around himself. Dropping the weighted end down the well allowed him to complete the trick.
Objection!
Wait! Wouldn't that send him flying as soon as he set foot on the stage?
Hold it!
Thank you for head pat. Yeah, it's simple, really. He kept the weight from falling by using a stake to keep the rope in place. With a second rope, he was able to pull the stake free, thereby controlling when the weight was dropped. We found evidence to suggest that the original weight was replaced with Knight's body. This was done by the real killer in order to create an alibi. The estimated time of death tells us that the murder took place early in the morning. The killer could have tampered with the contraption in the time between the murder and the show.
Objection!
You're saying Mr. Saint himself set this contraption up, right? Well, then who do you think is the number one most likely person to have used it to dispose of a body, Even you must see how this looks.
Objection!
If Mr. Saint was the killer, he could have simply done as Judge Gavel theorized without those extra steps. Miss Berry,
Yeah?
does anyone else know how Mr. Saint's trick works?
Well, let's see. We had to get the prison's approval on what we were going to perform, so I don't think Simeon's the only one who knows.
And there you have it.
Overruled!
Interesting. You've certainly been diligent in your investigation. And yet, I fail to comprehend your actions still. Why do you not work to do what is right?
Is what I am doing wrong? If so, who is it that deems it so?
Why? How can you not grasp even that? How can you not see that you are doing wrong at this very moment? You are a prosecutor, and yet you aid the defense. This flies in the face of common sense. You're breaking every rule in the book.
I think only of what is right and just, and act as I see fit in each situation I am confronted with. This is the path I have chosen, and whether you can comprehend that choice is immaterial. But if you mean to stand in my way, I will fight back with all I can bring to bear.
Perhaps the goddess of justice is testing me. Very well. If it is her will that we must fight, then I shall end this once and for all. Listen well, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another reason why only Mr. Saint can be the killer.
Yeah, we just kind of make up the rules as we go along in this world. At law school's just more of a suggestion, just about who can yell objection louder.
If the body was moved from the yard to the workshop, then Mr. Knight must have first been brought here to the yard from his cell. The only person who had the opportunity to do that is Simeon Saint, and thus he remains the only plausible suspect. Mr. Saint took a cage with him to Mr. Knight's cell. But why would he do that? Why take such an unwieldy object all the way to the holding cells?
Hang on, is my noise filter still on? Did anyone hear the loud car just drive past? I'm going to assume slightly. Okay. It's kind of doing its job then. Just bad get. Really? How rude. Yeah, the noise filter would have cut out most of it. And since I'm talking over it, some of it will get through in the sort of audio or whatever. I don't know exactly how it works. Whatever.
Why take such an unwieldy object all the way to the holding cells? Yeah, it is pretty sus.
It's pretty sus, is it, Kay? They actually put sus in the localization. And we've all met Mr. Saint. That's exactly the kind of thing he would do. It's entirely plausible that he took the cage with him out of absent-mindedness and nothing else. Oh, yeah, I know. But... Ah! I know people have used sus before Amogus, but it's more in, like, the cultural zeitgeist of human communication these days because of Amogus. So it's hard to say whether or not there was influence there. And possibly some unconscious bias toward putting that in the translation. Who knows? Only whoever wrote that line.
But it is no more or less plausible than him having helped Mr. Knight to escape.
Some real solid evidence if I'm going to get her to budge. It's kind of sus.
Body was moved from the yard to the workshop.
And he must have been brought from the yard to the yard from his cell. That makes sense. The only person who had opportunity to do that is Simeon Saint. That's the key aspect I need to push on here. I need to prove that someone else had opportunity. I don't know if I have definitive proof that someone else had the opportunity to. I'm gonna press. You're certain nobody else had the opportunity?
Need I remind you that we are in a prison? The entire facility is monitored at all times. Anything out of the ordinary would have been spotted.
Hold it!
Yeah, unless it was the warden. Well, Mr. Saint was under that same scrutiny, was he not?
Overruled!
The warden had granted the members of the circus troupe special access. As a member of that troupe under the supervision of Miss Berry, he is the only person who was free to wander where he willed.
Objection!
It seems you've forgotten something, Your Honor.
Overruled!
Oh, the back and forth here.
Forget is not a word in my vocabulary, Mr. Edgeworth.
Very well, then recall this fact if you will. You claim that Mr. Saint is the only person who was free to walk around the prison. But there was a brief period of time on the day of the crime in this prison, a time when it would have been possible for anyone to move through the prison entirely unmonitored. The 3-hour gap in the security footage. There was a period on the day of the crime where oversight was limited. The footage itself.
Take that!
Mr. Saint is far from the only one who had the opportunity.
Which opportunity are we talking about again?
We had previously established that the time code on the security footage was off by 3 hours.
Hey, Blues, good to see you.
And from this we can deduce that there must have been a power outage lasting for that length of time, during which anyone could have moved around the prison undetected.
Do you mean to say that our killer intentionally created this 3-hour gap? That it was no simple camera malfunction? Is that even possible?
It was completely possible to create the 3-hour gap using this.
Take that!
Our investigation of the yard turned up something rather interesting. A panel of breakers, one of which can be used to cut the power to the security cameras. We also learned that the door to the power room may have been opened at around the time of the murder.
What? Such a shame. To see one so capable fall so short of the mark. Mr. Edgeworth knows what he's doing. Then how does he explain the lock on the power room door?
Oh yeah, it was kinda locked up tight.
And the warden's the only one with the key. Those breakers are vital to the prison's infrastructure. So I very much doubt that anyone could have gained access to the power room's key so easily.
Yeah, they didn't need to, because it was the warden!
Objection!
You fricking... Come on! No, but one person could have.
I beg your pardon?
That person, the killer, had easy access to it, in fact. And what's more, their position here is such that nobody would dare question them.
Objection!
Oh, he's figured it out. Good, about time.
What? There's no one like that! The breaker to the electric fence is in there. They would be questioned in an instant.
There's only one person who meets these criteria. I can hardly believe it myself. But I have to follow where the logic leads. The person who had access to the power room key was... Fifi Lagarde.
Take that!
The real culprit is...
Oh, speak of the devil.
Warden Lagarde.
Oh, just look at you. Aren't you the cutest little poochie woo?
He's not just a pretty face. Missile also has quite the nose for sweet things. It seems he's smelling something very sweet indeed. And it's coming from you.
Oh, darling, you're making me blush. I'm not even wearing perfume.
Then perhaps it is the sweet stench of death.
You're a regular poet, aren't you? I had no idea. But if I didn't know better, I'd almost think you were calling moi the killer.
That is precisely what I'm calling you. Maid? There you go. Back to maid. Yes, there does appear to be an actual live dog around her neck.
What? Warden Lagarde is the killer? Mr. Edgeworth, do you realize what you're saying?
Such a naughty boy. How could he suspect me, hmm? I'm the one in charge around here.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird how she kisses it on the lips.
It's like we're in a murder mystery, aren't we?
And equally far-fetched, this is preposterous.
Hold it!
Certainly it is not, although I can hardly believe it myself. But this is where the evidence points, and we must trust in the evidence. This piece of evidence proves that Warden Laguaga is the killer. I mean, they're touching on the scent. A sweet scent was also detected at the crime scene? Is it that, or is this a bit of a stretch? I don't see any other connection here with the dialogue, so I'm gonna go with this.
Take that!
Your scent betrays you, Warden. Oh, thank goodness. And here is your accuser. Hi, Gak.
The police dog.
We had him track a sweet scent that was lingering around Knight's body back when it was first found. He now appears to be smelling the same scent, and it's coming from you.
Oh, darling, you're priceless, really you are. Your evidence is a whiff of suspicion. Verity, dear, do put him in his place.
It seems Judge Gavel may have reached a similar conclusion to myself.
You believe this to be no mere coincidence, Mr. Edgeworth?
I do. After all, she has the key, and the scent found lingering on the body is hers as well. Were it just one or the other, we might be able to brush it off as coincidence. However...
Indeed, and it seems the conclusion approaches. Perhaps we should hear what the warden has to say for herself.
We should. And when we have... Wait. When was the hug command even last used? Oh, I see the issue. Hang on. I guess the bot was offline, and it had been the entire time, and nobody knew because we didn't do any commands for it. It's booting up now, so it'll work shortly. Enjoy your lie down, Abby. See you in a bit. We should. And when we have... Oh, yeah, that's because I switched to the bot window. There we go. This case will finally be at an end.
You're all being simply awful. Stop looking at me like that. Me? The killer? How could I possibly do such a thing?
I didn't do it. Uh-huh. Hang on, let me throw a test command in chat and make sure it's alive. You alive? Yeah, you're alive. Okay, bot's fine. Bot's all good now.
Verity told me everything she knows about the case, sweetie.
99 rats in a trench coat, and it's somehow defaulted to giving yourself a hug. I guess the spaces might have broken that, I'm not sure. Someone wants to try that with an actual username just to make sure the command itself isn't broken.
The victim died in his cell, so by your logic I would have had to have killed him there. But how am I supposed to have moved the body? Especially as I never went into the prison. I was too busy with work, you see.
Yeah, that works. Okay. And single words work too. Oh, thanks for the hug.
I was cooped up in my office until right before the show began. Check if you like, you won't find a record anywhere of my having entered or left the prison proper. I haven't the first idea what harebrained theories you little scamps have cooked up, but I'm innocent.
Oh, a gumshoe say something, okay.
So, if being gay commit crimes is a thing, does that mean that being straight solves crimes?
Be an ace solve crimes sounds more accurate to me. Yeah, it might just be breaking because of the number. Please do not hug Tesla coils.
There's simply no way I could be the killer.
Give me a break. Missile doesn't lie. Don't make it hard on everyone and just come clean.
Oh dear. I'm afraid you are the one making things difficult. As I just said, I never went into the prison. If you think I'm lying, go and check the records.
She clearly wants us to check those records, which means they won't help us.
We'll just have to find another way of getting the truth out of her.
Please, Mr. Edgeworth, stop being a big silly. You've made a boo-boo and you know it.
Victim died in his cell. So you're saying I must have gone there, but I couldn't have gone there because there's no record of it. Check if you like. Yeah, what if I do want to check?
Hold it!
Sure, maybe you didn't go through the main entrance to the prison, but what if you took another route?
Oh, come now, sweetie. Surely you don't mean that awful filthy tunnel they discovered? Why, until yesterday, I had no idea it even existed.
No, you had another way in. I'm certain of it. A route that didn't require going through the main entrance or the tunnel. You mean just through the yard? Because there's clearly a door there? The route you took went through this location. Like there's a door here. So you just came through here. Right? Right? Would the fence have been on at that time, though? Because she had to come into here to turn it off. But I feel like, if there's no record of it, you must have come through this way. Because if you went through this way, there'd be a record of it, so I'm still going to say
Take
yard.
that!
Through the fence?
Oh no, that's give out. Through the fence. Warden, you took Knight from his cell and brought him to your office, which just happens to be connected to the yard. If you had a way through the fence, then you would have been able to circumvent both the entrance and the tunnel.
Ah, gold star for creativity, darling. And how would I have gotten through the fence, The extremely high fence, topped with razor wire, with thousands of volts of electricity going through it.
Yeah, how's she supposed to have gotten through that, The fence's electricity supply can be cut off from the power room. And only you had the key, Warden. No one but you could have done it.
Overruled!
Utterly ridiculous. The power room is on the prison side of the yard. Warden Laguaga was on the detention center side. How would she have even reached the power room?
Exactly, Verity, darling. Well, Clever Puss, you've dug yourself a real hole now.
If there is no record of Warden Laguaga having entered the prison proper, the objection, she had a Pikachu accomplice. Omicron, are you just QAing my frickin' hug command? And the idea that she could have shut off the fence by using the breaker is out of the question. Must be some way she could have done it. No 99 red balloons works, though. What? I have no idea what is causing it to break sometimes, then. Take a deep breath, big guy. Lose your cool and you've lost everything. If I don't find a solution, she might still wriggle out of this. Hey, I said take a deep breath, not freak out and completely lose your cool. There's nothing to be gained by banging your head against the same wall, yeah? And no matter how you look at it, Warden Laguaga couldn't have done it alone.
Valerie,
Yeah.
it's time to hydrate.
Stop
Thank
slouching.
you. And I am not slouching, but I'll have a quick stretch. Okay.
Objection!
Okay. You aren't doing yourself any favors by obstructing justice with your silence. That was a reflexive objection. But now that I've yelled it, if I don't come up with an answer, it's all over. I have one more thing to add, if you'll permit me. Something that explains how the warden could have shut off the breaker room from the wrong side of the fence? Yes, because it's not as impossible as it seems.
An accomplice. She couldn't have done it alone. But what if she wasn't alone?
Oh, now we're talking. Way to flex the old grey matter, kiddo.
I believe that Warden Laguaga had an accomplice.
Overruled.
Enough. You disappoint me, Mr. Edgeworth.
Well, what do you mean? Mr. Edgeworth has said nothing wrong. Gosh.
The inmates of this prison are all issued with security bracelets. They're the ones that raise the alarm if people go where they're not supposed to. Oh. I see that you've realized your error. And we are, of course, within the prison grounds, where not only are the bracelets worn, but even the guards surveil each other for signs of wrongdoing.
Despite all that, no one noticed Mr. Carcerato's escape.
The only ones who are free to roam are the animals. And they most certainly could not have operated the breaker.
No, so our accomplice must be human.
Overruled.
Then who did it, given that it could not have been a prisoner or a guard?
Objection.
I wouldn't be so quick to rule out either, Your Honor. The fact is, there's one person. Someone whose movements weren't restricted. And I've just the evidence to show who that free-roaming person was. On the night of the crime, Mr. Sawit's bracelet was broken. Meaning he could have gotten around just fine. Deploy Igiari. And I object to something with evidence. Well, this is a take that and not an objection, so I can't say it here.
Take that.
This is one of the prisoner's bracelets.
Indeed. A broken bracelet belonging to a certain self-proclaimed model prisoner.
What do you mean? Who is this prisoner?
Frank Sawit, Warden Laguaga's favourite inmate.
Oh, nail on the head here.
It's strange, isn't it, Warden, that he was able to keep his broken bracelet hidden and wander freely around the prison all the while?
Well, that is pretty funky. And I don't mean in a good way.
It couldn't be the case that he was permitted to some sort of special leeway, could it? Although, you're in the habit of giving such leeway to certain others. Bodied armor Canis, for example.
Overruled.
Mr. Edgeworth, that is pure speculation.
Objection.
In that case, why don't we ask Mr. Sawit himself? I'm confident he will confirm for us that he and Warden Laguaga were accomplices in this crime. If the two of them had worked together, a certain route into the prison becomes viable. The real route by which Knight was moved from his cell to the prison proper. Recall that there were two big obstacles in her path. First, the security camera outside Knight's cell. Second, the electrified fence in the yard. But she was able to remove both obstacles in one fell swoop, by having Mr. Sawit shut off the corresponding breakers.
Hold it. All right, Mr. Edgeworth, you've had your fun.
And? Do you still deny it, Warden Laguaga?
No, darling. You've got me. I admit it.
Warden? Tell me this isn't true.
Sorry, Verity, honey, I'm afraid it is. Frankie helped me do it.
No way.
You did it, Mr. Edgeworth, you got her! A nice shooting, cowboy. She won't be wriggling out of this now. As Mr. Edgeworth said, I had Frankie switch off the breaker. But we didn't kill Knight, did we? No, sweetums, no we didn't.
What?
Warden, explain yourself.
Oh, Verity, dear, I doubt your precious goddess will want to hear my excuses now.
She is all merciful. You have but to confess and you shall be saved.
Oh gosh, alright. I was being friend. I had no choice but to do as he said. Who's he? Bodied harmer Canis. That awful assassin.
Canis?
How long has it been since that awful man came here to my beautiful prison? I'll never forget the day he arrived.
Oh gosh, really? We're doing a sob story for you? I know you did it.
The moment we were alone, he said this to me.
You should know that I have other dogs. Dogs not confined to this fine institution.
Others?
Yes, very loyal dogs. Dogs who will do anything I ask of them.
Of course, he wasn't talking about real dogs. He was talking about his very human cronies. And then he said one last thing.
I would recommend that you take care in how you treat me during my stay here. I wouldn't want to have to set my dogs on you, or your precious family.
I had no choice. I gave him that cell. I gave him everything he asked for.
Everything? Wait, is that how he became the fixer?
Yes, darling. I obeyed his every command, and smuggled in for him all that he wanted. Eventually, I brought dear, sweet Frankie into our little conspiracy. He agreed right away, of course, because I made things easier for him, too.
So you were smuggling in contraband? How exactly?
Once a week, late at night, Frankie would shut off the breakers. That allowed me to go from my office into the yard without being seen by the cameras. Then I simply dropped the packages down the well on the prison side and went back through the fence. Each one of them spritzed with a little of my perfume.
So that's what the sweet smell was.
Yes, it was a signal for Canis's dog. When he picked up the scent, he would fetch the packages and bring them back to his master. We had to make sure Rocco wasn't in his cell at the time, of course.
It can't be easy keeping him from finding out.
Oh, we're all very much creatures of habit here at the prison, darling. Everything runs to a schedule. Meals, exercise hours, that sort of thing. We knew when he wasn't there. And that adorable little bear of his freezes with fright at the sight of Canis's dog. Poor thing. So there was no risk of him raising the alarm either.
She has oversight over everything here at the prison, which made her the perfect mule. With her on his side, Canis couldn't fail.
Frankie would sneak out again early in the morning to switch the breakers back on, and our work was done. Apart from fixing the time codes on the cameras, which I would do later when I got the chance.
You have shared a great deal, Warden. The Goddess of Justice will surely take your honesty into account.
I've been the most dreadful fool, I know I have. I'm supposed to be the one in charge. The day of Knight's murder was also one of our delivery days. And so Frankie, bless his heart, did his usual work with the breakers.
Yeah, I've one question. The guards who monitor the cameras, were they in on it too? Because wouldn't they notice 3 hours missing every week? Like, this has been going on a while. They must have been in on it then, right? Is everyone in on it?
And there was no package for me to deliver that day, so I didn't go out into the yard.
So that's the secret behind the Fixer's system, and why she was...
The police have been trying to track down his accomplices for the longest time. Even I've had to lend them a hand myself, you know. Heaven knows how many times I've hauled the secretive scoundrel into my office to talk to me. But no matter what I say or how much evidence I present him with, he simply won't say a word.
That's why you were interrogating Mr. Canis over and over.
Exactly. I was trying to track down those horrible hench people of his. I borrowed everything the police had on that rotten scoundrel. I've watched his every move, intercepted every letter he wrote.
His letters? I suppose she must know about his correspondence chess games, too.
But no matter what I did, I couldn't turn up any clues as to who his underlings were. Living in fear like this, it's... oh, you just can't comprehend it.
As you have just heard for yourself, Mr. Edgeworth, the words of Warden
Laguagdi? Laguagdi? Who the fuck is Warden Laguagdi? Capcom? Okay, Capcom, please. Me, Laguagdi. Oh dear. Laguagdi. Screenshot noise. Oh dear.
The words of Warden Lagarde's confessions have cleansed her of all suspicion. Surely there's no need to hound her any longer.
Has she really been cleared of all suspicion, though? Or is there more about her to uncover? You know, if you're given the option to press further, I feel like we should D-pad, please. We should always press further. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but this conversation isn't over yet. And I think the Goddess of Justice would agree.
So you mean to make her suffer even more than she already has?
Unfortunately, her suffering under Mr. Canis does nothing to prove her innocence in Knight's murder. She admitted herself that she knew of and even facilitated the so-called Fixer's delivery route. They believe she used that same route to move Knight's body.
And where is your evidence, Mr. Edgeworth?
It's in the fact that the sweet smell on Knight's body is the exact same scent Warden Lagarde uses to signal a delivery. What do you make of that?
Well, that's because we've done it so many times by now that the whole well probably smells of it. Some of it must have just rubbed off on his body.
That does match the statement that Mr. Carcerato provided.
A smell? Yeah, always smelled kinda nice down there.
Nice?
Gee, I don't know. It smells sorta like dessert, I guess.
His words would seem to suggest the smell had permeated the well.
Ugh.
You've been rendered speechless, I see. Then I hereby move to adjourn this session of the court.
No! What do we do, Mr. Edgeworth?
What can I do? Is this as far as we go?
Finally. So we're actually done? Yes, Eustace, it seems we are. By the power vested in me, this court is adjourned.
Except... But who?
Who was that?
Come on, Judge G. Things were just getting good.
Fender?
Are you objecting to my adjourning this session?
Nah. Would have shouted objection if I wanted to do that. You do you, G. Adjourn, don't adjourn, whatever floats your boat.
What are you doing, Mr. Fender?
Well, don't worry about what I'm doing. Let's all just take a chill pill, shall we? By which I mean a square of chocolatey goodness. Anyone?
Are you trying to get yourself charged with contempt of court?
No, my bad. I just had a quick request to make is all. The Simeon Saint's lawyer, that is.
Ah, yes, I'd forgotten you were his real attorney, Mr. Fender.
How could you? You're killing me here.
Can you blame us? You've been making Mr. Edgeworth do everything this whole time.
Right you are. Which is why I figured it's time to put in some work.
Work, you say? Somehow I don't believe you've worked a day in your life.
Let's say this is me doing some prep work for the upcoming trial. Mind if I question the witness?
Now? Amusing, but What is there left to ask?
I got a feeling in my funny bone that Thief's here has something more to tell us about the killer. Do I? Yeah, indeed. See, as a major player on Team Simeon, I can spot a sympathizer when I sees one. And you don't think he did it, did you? Do you? So tell us, who did? Come on, spill the beans, we're all ears. Mr. Edgeworth, what's he doing?
He's trying to coax Warden Laguaga into giving something away. Ask yourself, why would she go to all the trouble of sending Knight's body on such an odd journey? It's because she wanted to frame Mr. Canis.
She did? No way.
If he was convicted of committing murder here, there would have been grounds for a transfer to another prison. Most likely a more secure facility.
And where he'd be out of her hair forever, huh?
Precisely. Hang on, I need a drink myself. She saw her opportunity and seized it.
No. Cersei cannot be the killer. That's not fair. I was all ready to prosecute him. I know, right? But maybe we should find out what she thinks first. Don't want to get the wrong guy, yeah? Nice. Now Mr. Winter has to go along with it too. Well, Warden, are you happy to testify further?
Of course, how can I refuse this silver-tongued devil? Eddykins, you have such a way with words.
Just doing my job. Thief?
Besides, one can't tell the truth without telling the whole truth, can one? I'm simply dying to tell all verity, darling. Do say you'll let me.
As you wish. The court is unadjourned. Can't believe you pulled that off, Mr. Fender. Oh, me either.
Thank you for the timely intervention.
Hey, it's the least I could do. He's not wrong. I've been leaning on you hard. And besides, the defense never rests, am I right? Simeon's depending on us. Sadly, I think I just about exhausted my reserves of cool lawyer chat there. And we can't foul this up now. Which means you're up to bat, Miles McSmiles. Show him that never rest spirit.
I shall.
Fabulous, then let's get started. I really don't think anyone could have done it but that dreadful man Canis. There's no telling what went on between him and the victim. Perhaps he simply took a disliking to him. He's certainly the type. But whatever the sordid details, it was him. He stabbed that poor man to death. And then he had his dog dispose of the body. It simply has to be what happened. The victim, Mr. Knight, yes? I did him the most terrible disservice.
Yes, you killed him.
I suppose you could put it that way. If I weren't such a sorry excuse for a warden, this would never have happened. And that's why I have to clean up this terrible mess.
Warden Laguaga, as ever your honesty is truly to your credit. I'm certain Mr. Knight is looking down and weeping tears of gratitude.
You've clearly never met Mr. Knight. It was always said that he was stabbed. There was a lot of blood. That's not something she wouldn't have known. Hang on. Is that why the controller's messing up? Look at that. When I move the right stick, it kind of cycles between PlayStation prompts and Xbox prompts. I think something's gone wrong with my controller here. I mean, it's still working, but it's just peculiar. I do not have DS4 Windows on. I did plug the controller in a little late, though, so it might have confused something. What went on between him and the victim? Simply took a disliking to him. This and this are key statements. Let's start by pressing the first one.
Hold it!
What more can you tell us about those sordid details?
Well, we all know what Canis once did for a living. I doubt the killing part gave him much trouble. Especially as the victim was already injured. His neck, I think. He couldn't turn his head to the right, poor dear. That's what they told me when they brought him in, anyway.
You must make some sort of report for the warden when new prisoners are admitted. You seem keen for us to think you didn't know much about Knight.
That's because I didn't, sweetie. And the victim was simply a fun target to that monster, nothing more. I expect Canis used the chisel that was hidden in that chess set, don't you? Awful grisly business.
The chisel in the chess set that Simeon brought in?
Just imagine. The man probably didn't even have time to cry out.
I see. Thank you for your thoughts. They were very helpful. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Eventually, I'd like to hear about them in a little more detail, if you don't mind.
Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, you're making me blush. I could chat with you all day. Ooh. Oh, don't look so nervous, darling. I'm only teasing. Of course, we can talk about them some more.
Okay, new statement. Chisel hidden in the chess set. Yeah, how did he get access to that, and how do you know about it?
Yay!
Objection!
Was that powerful enough? Challenge complete. Warden Laguaga, you strike me as being more careful than the image you project suggests.
Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, please. Call me Fifi, or Sweetie Pie if you prefer. Guys.
However, I think you may have been a little less careful than you realize in this instance.
Aren't you just the most adorable little creature? Don't be embarrassed, we're all family here.
Ugh.
Come on, Mr. Edgeworth, don't let it get inside your head.
You said earlier that you didn't know much about Knight. In which case, I find it rather strange that you know about the chisel.
Well, of course I do, darling. Do you think we don't check prisoners when they come in?
It was made as a literal point that you didn't check it because your guards suck. And that's how it got in.
Objection!
You're not talking your way out of this, Warden. That is entirely irrelevant and you know it. Knight didn't bring the chess set into the prison himself. It was brought by Mr. Saint when he came to visit. Knight wouldn't have had it with him when he arrived.
What? Well, I mean, of course, when Mr. Saint came in, we...
Objection!
You checked him? I find that hard to believe, because if you did, that makes your story all the stranger. If you found the chisel, why did you not confiscate it there and then? Judge Gavel, did you tell anyone about the hidden compartment in the chess set?
I did not.
If no one leaked our findings, then how exactly did you learn about the chisel, Warden Laguaga? Because it certainly couldn't have been when you checked Knight or Mr. Saint on their arrival.
Indeed, such a thing would imply an intentional oversight if it had been found, yet let through.
Precisely. So, Warden Laguaga, and answer truthfully this time, where and when did you learn about the chess set? If you won't answer, then allow me. I submit that you...
All right, darling, there's no need to rub it in. You got me, all right? I questioned Knight. That was when I learned about the chess set. And please, you have to believe me, I did not kill him.
One moment, Warden. This is a significant development. The court requests that you make a detailed statement on the record. Any objections, Mr. Edgeworth?
None, Your Honor.
Thank you, darlings. I'll clear up this awful misunderstanding, I promise.
Very well. Go ahead, Warden Laguaga. And please, tell the truth this time.
Her lies are starting to wear thin. This is my chance to expose her. Ooh, woo. Sorry. My Truth Part 2.
I said I questioned Knight, but it wasn't anything serious, you understand. I make a point of talking to every newcomer to our little home. Knight was no different. We just had a little chat, you might call it. And after we talked, I had him taken back to his cell straight away.
The more she lies, the more thoroughly she seals her fate.
So it was simply a conversation with a new detainee? That seems entirely above board.
Exactly, Verity, darling. I knew you'd understand.
Objection!
Well, I don't. What proof do you have to back up your statement?
I suppose we shall see, won't we? Mr. Edgeworth, you may begin your cross-examination.
You questioned him, but it wasn't anything serious. Yeah, what was it about then?
Hold it!
So am I right in assuming that you talked to Knight the night before the show?
Exactly, darling. It would have been around 3 a.m. on the 27th.
3 a.m. and fall squarely within the window of time laid out in the autopsy report. Seems rather late for a friendly chat. Wouldn't he have been asleep?
Normally, yes, but if you remember, a guard was attacked in his cell. We had to examine the scene of the crime, gather information. These things take time, sweetie. I assure you he was wide awake. We all were.
Give me a moment. I feel like we're getting somewhere here. So I'm going to push on, but my throat is not feeling it. I'll get to the end of this case and then we're probably going to swap games today. Regardless, I find it somewhat odd that you would choose to question him at such a late hour.
Oh, you're such a tease, aren't you? Ugh. Anyway, no matter how odd you think it is, I had him brought to me and that's what happened. Must you really insist on questioning every last thing I say?
Well, yeah, it's kind of my job at the moment.
Sorry, Thiefs. He's like a dog with a bone sometimes. I'll be sure to scold him once we're done. Though, would you mind giving us a little more info? Like where you had him brought to? My office, of course. Where else?
Office, which is where we believe the body was moved from. Would you mind appending what you just said to your testimony?
Anything for you, darling.
3 a.m. Then bring him to my office. That's not appended, that's just the normal statement, right? Went to talk in every newcomer. Just had a little chat. And then he had him taken back to his cell. Well, we know this bit is a lie, because otherwise he wouldn't be dead. Press this too.
Hold it!
If he had really gone back to his cell, he would still be alive today.
You really think I murdered the poor man right there in my office, don't you? But what would my motive have been, darling? I told you I barely knew him. I'm no angel. I have my grudges against Canis, but Knight had nothing to do with that animal.
She really does hate Canis. Warden Laguaga, I must insist that you append that statement to your testimony.
I'm no angel. I have my grudges against Canis, but Knight had nothing.
Okay, yeah, same line. That's definitely added. Would it be your grudge against him that gave you the motive, though? You had a proven connection to him because you state that you intercepted his letter, so you would have known about the correspondence chess between the two of them, right? And would that have been your aha moment? This is a link between him, so I can pin it on him? Because that's what I'm thinking. I don't see anything else that applies. Do I go for it? It's a proven connection, right? Objection!
Objection!
Judge Gavelle, I'd like you to take a look at this.
It's about a game of chess. What is the significance of this, Mr. Edgeworth?
It was found in Knight's cell, which is exactly where you said you saw it too, Warden Laguaga. But you didn't just see this game in Knight's cell, did you? You've seen it in Mr. Canis' cell too.
Oh, what do you mean?
Objection!
Oh, come now. Don't tell me you haven't taken a look at the chessboard in maximum security. I imagine you watch his every move like a hawk. Or rather, I imagine you feel that doing so is your only option.
But she wants to find out who his cronies are, right?
Personally interrogating your own prisoners is highly irregular, to say the least. But as you said, Mr. Canis had threatened you. He put your precious home at risk. That's why you took it upon yourself to question him. You wanted to find out who his dogs were.
So what if I did?
You also told us you read his letters, which means you must have known about one key fact. You knew he was playing correspondence chess. And then who should appear but Knight, carrying with him a diagram of a very particular game. We ourselves used that diagram to infer a connection between the two men. And it seems you came to the same conclusion. But in your fear, you took your reasoning one step further. You surmised that Knight was Mr. Canis' henchman sent to kill you.
Oh, which is the real reason she had that chat with the Bronxster. If his boss wouldn't crack, maybe he would.
And when you questioned Knight, you made another discovery. But there inside his chest set, you found a hidden chisel.
The murder weapon itself.
As far as you were concerned, that chisel meant one thing: Canis. Thus, you convinced yourself that Knight was working for Canis, and that is why you killed him. I see you have no more excuses. Judge Gavelle, your verdict, please.
Much as it grieves me, there would appear to be little room for doubt. I hereby give my verdict. Bronco Knight was... In the name of the goddess of justice, who is it this time? Warden?
It's a joke. It's all a big stupid joke. You people just don't get it, do you?
I think we've proven that it's you who didn't understand things correctly.
Me? Please, darling, I understand it all perfectly well, thank you very much. And I understand that there's a glaring contradiction in your theory, Mr. Edgeworth.
You're just grasping at straws now. I have no time for this. Your Honor, the verdict.
Overruled!
I'm curious to hear what the warden has to say.
What?
You're a doll, Verity. I just have one last thing to say. Then Mr. Edgeworth can declare himself the winner.
You rang?
Does anybody remember a certain autopsy report?
Of course. We received the finalized version only this morning.
That's right, and I was listening to what you told us about it, Verity, even if nobody else was. You said the wound was 4 inches deep.
4 inches.
Wait.
Riddle me this, Mr. Edgeworth. How does a tiny chisel make a 4-inch wound?
Forgive me, oh goddess. I came perilously close to making a terrible mistake.
Looks like your theory is the one that doesn't hold water, Edgeworth. What now,
What do we do?
He'll be fine. Mr. Edgeworth always comes through. Right, sir?
Was it not the murder weapon then?
Looks to me like the Milesatron's out of commission.
You're an attorney too, aren't you? Why don't you do something? Turn things on their head with a desperate bluff. Blurt out the first mind-blowing thing that comes to you.
Look, Detective, I'm as much a man of action as the next guy. But without evidence, we're up a creek without a paddle here. This might be the end of the road. We can't give up now. We have to do something.
I'm certain that Warden Laguaga is the killer. It's the only explanation that fits the facts of the case. But if the chisel wasn't the murder weapon, what other bladed weapon is there here in this facility? I have a crazy idea. There's no way. But just wondering out loud, how long are alligator teeth on average? Just wondering.
It seems we still do not have all the answers.
Not 4 inches, damn.
Nor the evidence to provide those answers. Alas, we must wait until the trial to see this matter resolved, I'm afraid.
Objection!
Oh, come on, G. You're just giving the killer a chance to destroy the evidence.
Overruled!
Are you calling the judicial process into question, Mr. Fender? No, not me. Nuh-uh. I tried, Miles. Any bright ideas?
What is the real murder weapon, since it's clearly not the chisel?
Confound it. This question throws everything we've deduced out the window. Nothing to add, Mr. Edgeworth. Allow me to remind you that claims not supported by sufficient evidence are subject to the harshest penalties.
It's hopeless. Can't think of anything. I need more time. Over as I am to admit it,
You can't give up now. Remember what Mr. Fender said. Simeon's counting on us. Without us, he's... Remember how upset he was? He was devastated. Nobody's in more pain than him over Mr. Knight's death. There's no way he did it. But if we can't save him, who will? And what's more, he believes in us. He's sitting in that cell waiting for us to bring him some good news. And I, for one, won't walk away until we have some.
okay.
Gee, Miles, your little buddy there's quite the motivational speaker. And she's right, too. When you find yourself on the ropes, think of your client. Picture them pleading with you to help them. Doesn't that make you want to fight back as hard as you can until the very end?
No, not really. It gives me a bit of an anxiety attack, honestly, all that pressure.
Think of your old man, good old Gregory. No matter how bad things looked, he'd always find a way to turn it around and save his client. And you're just like him, right? If there's any way to force a turnabout here, you're the one who'll find it. Simeon's counting on you.
Judge Gavelle.
You seem to have recovered your composure, Mr. Edgeworth. But if you mean to attempt a defense, I would advise you to consider the ramifications. You have repeatedly proposed misguided theories and have made numerous false accusations. If you do so again, I will have no choice but to judge you unfit to serve as a prosecutor and relieve you of your badge for good.
I feel like we need a counter for how many times she's threatened me. She's right. I've put forward a number of theories that prove to be flawed in one way or another. Have I made some sort of fundamental oversight? Wait, she said my theories were misguided.
Nothing to say? Then the court will tolerate no more of your time wasting. I hereby...
Sir!
Mr. Edgeworth! Give my verdict.
That's it. I've been thinking about it the wrong way all this time. My theories weren't misguided. I was being misled.
The defendant... I think it's a little soon for that, Your Honor.
I'd say it's well past due, darling. Wouldn't you agree, Verity?
Mr. Edgeworth, you may proceed.
What?
I'd like to remind you of a few things. The sighting of his dog, Helmet, the fact he wasn't at the show, these and other factors made Mr. Canis the obvious suspect at first.
This again, Mr. Edgeworth. You seem almost proud of your blunder.
Hold it!
But what if the real killer wanted us to suspect Mr. Canis? What if it was all carefully arranged? And what if the same was true of the chisel, our
Hey, Val.
purported murder weapon?
What do you think about some juice?
Thank you, Bird.
Stop slouching.
Knight had been stabbed multiple times in the same place with a bladed instrument. What if he was stabbed with the chisel after the real murder weapon had been removed? Just to leave traces of blood on it for us to find. That was how the killer misled us into thinking the chisel is the murder weapon. But why mislead us in this way? Why indeed? Why make us think the chisel is the murder weapon rather than whatever was really used? To get Canis out of here. Warden, you took advantage of what the chisel seemed to suggest.
What it suggested? What are you talking about, darling?
Hold it!
Mr. Winner, if I were to tell you the murder weapon was a chisel, what would you think?
Huh? But that's Mr. Canis is the killer?
And there you have it. That was the trap the warden set for us.
Oh, Mr. Canis has a bunch of chisels, so she wanted us to think it was one of his, right?
Indeed. That was her plan right from the start. To frame bodied armor Canis.
Your reasoning would appear to be sound. Warden Laguaga certainly seems to harbour a deep and abiding hatred for Mr. Canis. However, I think you know what I'm going to say next. That alone is not sufficient proof that Warden Laguaga is the killer.
I knew that wouldn't be enough. There's only one thing that'll prove it. The real murder weapon that we now know must exist.
If you cannot prove your theory, then this conversation ends here.
Objection!
If we could just find the real murder weapon...
Objection!
How many times do we have to go over this? We searched the prison from top to bottom. Eustace is quite correct. No other possible murder weapon has been found, so I'm afraid you're at a bit of an impasse.
Objection!
I can still prove my case yet, Your Honor, because it's still here inside this prison. This would have made sure of that.
The security gate?
I'm glad you at least remember what it is. Do you remember what it does? I have another stupid idea. We have confirmed it's an alligator and not a crocodile. Crocodiles can get bigger, right? We have confirmed in the past that this alligator is feeling unwell, and it reacted to our metal detector. What if it ate the murder weapon? What if it ate the murder... Am I crazy? Is this cope? Am I huffing the copium of wanting to figure it out sooner than the characters?
Of course I do, I'm not an idiot. The security gate detects metal. Which means you...
Capcom? Capcom? Can't think of anything an alligator... You would be very surprised the things alligators will eat. There is so much junk in the average alligator's belly. Okay, so there's an unnecessary extra "you" in this dialogue. So I'm just going to reread and cut that.
Which means you can't bring anything metal into the prison or take it out. Oh!
Precisely. If there's another murder weapon, it cannot have been taken off the premises.
But nor can it have been brought into the prison in the first place. And so we find ourselves right back where we began. Judge Gavelle. What I am trying to tell you, Mr. Edgeworth, is that if you wish me to believe that there is another murder weapon here in the prison, you'll also have to explain to me how it got here.
Alright. We note that the chisel was smuggled into prison inside a pocket chess set. But our contention is that the chisel is not the real murder weapon. So if the murder weapon came from outside the facility, then there must have been a way to bring it in.
Yes, the question of the hour is this. Can you show me this alternate route?
How did the weapon Warden Laguaga used get into the prison? You borrowed evidence from the police to help with your investigation, is that correct?
Why, yes, sweetie. Everything related to Canis is with me now. Heaven knows how many times I've hauled a secretive scoundrel into my office to talk to me.
So if you had the evidence in your office, then it would have already been here, and you could have taken it through to the yard without passing a metal detector. The fact that this is here with us shows how a bladed object could have been brought into the facility as well. His bells? One is attached to the dog and the other to a knife. You took the bell off the knife and put it on the chisel, meaning our knife is missing. And it was actually Canis's knife that's the murder weapon that possibly is in the belly of the alligator somehow. Eh?
Take that!
Allow me to remind you of our conversation with Mr. Canis yesterday.
Yes, it was but one of my bells. One of only two in existence.
Just two?
Two and only two. One for my knife and one for my beloved helmet. Exquisitely crafted, utterly unique. My ears are my guide, after all. And I must be able to use my tools precisely. Of course, as you said, the knife has long since been taken from me.
So you see, there is a way for objects to be brought into the prison unscrutinized, as part of the evidence Warden Laguaga borrowed from the police.
What?
Mr. Canis's knife was part of the evidence in the case against him, and that evidence was here in the prison. Not only that, but the knife had a certain bell attached to it.
The bell that was attached to the chisel.
Correct. The killer took the bell from the knife and attached it to the chisel.
That can't be right. The chisel only had Mr. Knight's fingerprints on it.
Easy enough to explain if the killer wore gloves. She made it look as if the chisel was the murder weapon, and then attached the bell to it. In so doing, she made sure that all the evidence pointed to Mr. Canis. And who had access to the evidence from which the bell was taken? Why, only the person to whom it had been entrusted.
Who was it, sir? Who's been messing with the evidence?
I believe that would be you. Isn't that correct, Warden Laguaga?
Bells aren't exactly rare, you know. Anybody could have set that up.
Objection!
Unluckily for you, that isn't quite true. These particular bells are unique, because there are only two of them in existence.
What?
By attaching that bell to the chisel, you as good as declared yourself the killer.
But you don't have any proof that the knife was ever even here to begin with.
Hold it!
I don't. Not yet, anyway. Mr. Winner, I'd like you to order another search of the prison right away.
Huh? But if you do find something, that's going to make things awkward for me.
This isn't about what's convenient for you. We have to find the truth. You're a prosecutor, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but, you know...
Worthless excuse for a prosecutor. If I had investigative authority, I wouldn't be sitting on it.
Anyhow, it's not my decision to make. The warden would have to authorize it.
You know full well that she will do no such thing. You have the power to insist on a search. Use it!
Sorry, darling, but not without that evidence.
Goddess of Justice cannot bestow her blessings on those who lack the proof to support their claims. Our work here is done. The rest of this matter will have to be settled in the courtroom.
No. If we give Laguaga the opportunity, she'll destroy whatever evidence is left. I have to object. I have to stop them. What do I say? I don't have anything concrete to offer. What am I thinking? I'm never this reckless. No, I can't back down now. Gotta put everything on the line. I'm not a prosecutor right now. I'm an associate attorney with a client to defend. Only I can save Mr. Saint. And that means... even if my chances are 1,000,000 to 1, it's still worth a shot. It's now or never. Should I object? Fuck yeah. I suppose this must be how a certain serial bluffer always feels. He's talking about his husband. Regardless, I cannot walk away.
Objection!
Wait, Your Honor.
This had better be good, Mr. Edgeworth.
I've got it.
Got what exactly?
The real murder weapon, of course. I know where Mr. Canis's knife is.
Do you really, Mr. Edgeworth?
I do. Not at all.
If I did not know better, I would say that you were bluffing.
You wound me, Your Honor. I don't know the meaning of the word. Oh, this is terrible for my heart.
There's no way you could. It's not here, I tell you.
Well, would you be so kind as to enlighten us? Where is the real murder weapon?
Think, Miles, think. Somewhere not even the police would search, a blind spot in this zoo. A hiding place that the warden could be absolutely sure of. A hiding place? No.
If you insist. Come on, Helmut, open up.
Did she use the same trick? No, that's ridiculous.
Isn't it?
Oh my god, am I fucking right? But the more I think about it, how many foolproof ways to evade detection could there be?
Mr. Edgeworth, how long do you intend to keep us waiting?
There's the faintest possibility I'm right. But if I'm wrong, we stand to lose everything. Your Honor, this is where the real murder weapon is hidden. I'm going for it.
Take that!
Here? In the yard?
Valerie,
Good.
water.
Thank you.
Stop slouching.
I don't believe I understand. Would you care to explain a little more? Where exactly is the real murder weapon hidden?
Where else could it be? At this point, it has to be.
Take that!
Of course. That's what it must have been. Huh? What's the matter, Detective? It's the metal detector, sir. It's reacting to the alligator.
What? How?
The metal detector was reacting to something inside her after all. Your Honor, I'd like to remind you of this piece of evidence.
The chisel? Didn't we just figure out that isn't the murder weapon?
You might recall that Mr. Canis hid this chisel in his dog's mouth. Would you believe that the real murder weapon was hidden in much the same way? Remember, Bird, this is the first time this game's been localized in the West. I have not played this before. That's right. The murder weapon is hidden inside the alligator in that pond over there.
What? No way!
We detected the presence of a metallic object during our earlier investigation. Judge Gavel, we need to know what's inside that alligator.
Understood.
Oh, you mean did I remember the metal detector reacting to the alligator? Yeah. Otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned it. Like I just did. Some things stick in my memory better than others. And really weird little tidbits like that stick better than my own age does. I have a very weirdly functioning memory. If you can even call it functioning.
Then we will need to summon a veterinarian. I'm sure I could get the little sweetie to open up for us. I'd be happy to give it a try.
Please, by all means. Warden Laguaga, the real murder weapon is about to be revealed. Why not do the right thing and confess?
I have nothing to confess.
As you wish, and you can simply wait and watch as your lies are exposed.
Sir, we got it!
That has to be it.
It's over, Fifi Laguaga. The real murder weapon was Bodied Armor Canis' knife, making you the only person who could have killed Bronco Knight.
I'm not the criminal here. This is all Canis' doing. I did the right thing. Knight was a threat. He was Canis' lapdog. Curse that despicable man, Canis. Why'd you have to come and ruin my perfect little home? We could have been happy forever if it wasn't for him. He ruined my paradise on Earth. He ruined everything. Curse him! Curse that pitiless butcher, that awful, terrible, despicable man! Curse him!
What? Yeah, okay. Alright. They really gotta one-up themselves on every goddamn criminal breakdown, don't they? Oh.
Prosecutor Fwinner, sir. Test results have just come back.
Winner? I guess we've all been under a lot of stress.
Traces of Bronco Knight's blood were found on Mr. Canis' knife. It's just like you said, sir. Congratulations on a stunning victory.
Thank you, officer. Excellent work. You can continue complimenting me if you like.
Yes, sir. Fwinner wins again. I think I'm welling up a little.
With rage?
Excellent work, Eustace. Just a few loose ends to tie up and we're done. What are you talking about? I just solved the case, didn't I?
We've yet to confirm whether or not Knight really was working for Mr. Canis. It will be vital to know if Warden Laguaga was simply jumping to conclusions on that front.
Huh? Huh?
There's Clueless, and then there's you. Oh, thanks for following.
Well, then I guess we'd better get back to our investigation. All right, officer, you're with me. You're about to see the winner win a whole lot more. Prepare to witness first-rate investigative talent in action.
Oh, yes, sir. All right with you, sir. Can't wait to watch you at work.
It's winning time.
Oh dear. He immediately goes and destroys half the evidence.
I expect this case will cause quite a stir. The attempted murder of a president is news enough, and now his would-be assassin has been murdered.
But Knight never sought to kill the president in the first place.
The truth is not always as important as it might seem, Mr. Edgeworth. In the eyes of both society and the law. How can you even say that?
You might as well just wear a sign on your head that says, "Hi, I'm corrupt."
You do not have to believe me. However, as a prosecutor, Mr. Edgeworth is obliged to accept that this is the reality of the world he operates in.
Being a prosecutor is about more than proving people guilty. That's what I believe.
We are all free to believe as we choose, but the law is not to be toyed with for our own personal goals. If you refuse to accept this, then you must prepare to suffer the consequences.
Well, what does that even mean? Hey, you're not gonna take his...
I'm afraid I must be going now.
Oh, excuse me.
Farewell, Mr. Edgeworth.
Judge Gavelle is right. There must be only one set of laws for everyone. But if following the law means sacrificing the truth, can I really do that in good conscience?
Simeon, you're out! Hi, Regina. Is everything alright? They did let you out, right? Yeah. I'm so confused about what's going on. Some guy just came and said I was free to go. And then I have Mr. Edgeworth to thank. You sure do. Mr. Edgeworth found out who the real killer is. Oh wow, really? You did that for me, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh no. Stop staring at me like that. I'm innocent, I swear. Don't pull the rug out from under me now. Stop it, silly. It's true. He saved you. So say thanks already. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Thank you.
Regina is 17. The killer was Warden Laguaga. With the knife in the alligator.
And a big Regina Berry thank you from me too.
Mr. Saint talking directly to me? Small victories, I suppose.
Can I just ask one question, Mr. Attorney?
Sure. I'm not actually an attorney, though. See you later, Bird.
I thought Bronco was my friend. No, my best friend. I trusted him. But now... But now? Well, it's just... I never knew. I never would have believed that he could hate somebody enough to want to kill him.
Back to suit. Is your parting gift?
If he kept something like that from me, then he never really trusted me, did he? That's not true, Simeon. Of course he trusted you. No, he didn't. If he had, he just told me. I could have stopped him. I could have told him that hate never helps, that he had to let go of all that stuff.
Thank you for the bits as well.
I'm a great magician. Your clothes are red.
It's more of a burgundy, but sure. Got frickin' Kung Pao references in my stream. Mr. Saint, I think you're forgetting something. I should show him the thing that proves Knight trusted him. The chessboard?
Take that!
It's the chess set I brought for him.
Knight had hidden a chisel inside. I imagine he meant to use it to escape.
What? Do you mean he was using me?
No, he believed in you. He knew he could count on you to bring it, and that you would never be so untrusting as to look inside. I imagine that by not telling you, he was hoping he could keep you from getting caught up in his mess.
Oh. Bronco, why didn't you tell me? At least you understand now, right, Simeon? I'm sure he does. He may not show it, but Simeon's no dummy. A good night's sleep, he'll be completely over this whole thing by tomorrow.
That's not as complimentary as you think it is.
Just sniffle. Oh, I'll try. I have to. For Bronco. I have to show him I can become the best animal trainer out there.
That's the spirit.
Oh, I almost forgot. We're doing a new show soon. I'd love it if you could come, Mr. Edgeworth.
They got Max back then. He's still there.
I'll be joining Regina on stage for this one. That's right. The Very Big Circus is the biggest, most fabulous event in town. You'll have oodles of fun. Sounds great, doesn't it, Mr. Edgeworth? Come on, we have to go.
Well, I'll think about it.
Alright, Simeon, you got some training to do. I think it's time you and Regent got acquainted. What, Regent? It's a tiger? No way, I can't. No. Oh, you'll be fine, silly. You'll never meet a nicer kitty cat. I can't. Please, Regina, anything but that, please. Another satisfied customer. Oh, that was really something, Smiles. Talk about pulling it out of the bag.
We couldn't have done it without you, Fender. Without your timely intervention, she would have gotten away. Besides, I have you to thank for even being able to investigate the case in the first place.
Ah, stop it. Pat me on the back any harder and you're gonna make me blush. Or topple over.
I suppose it would be asking too much for you to take this seriously.
Seriously? Miles, my friend, I'm always serious. Anyway, how does it feel to save an innocent client? That's what it means to be an attorney, after all.
Be an attorney?
I gotta say, I had a blast. Reminded me of the good old days. Like Gregory was standing there right beside me. It's been like a zillion years since I felt this warm and fuzzy on the job.
That's good? Bittersweet? I'm not sure.
Say, Miles, you ever thought about going into the defense game full-time?
Excuse me?
You know, pick up where Gregory left off. Get out there and actually help people.
Hey pal, don't get any big ideas. Mr. Edgeworth ain't about to switch sides.
Why not? Coming over to the light side's all the rage. Everybody's doing it these days. Come on, Mr. Fender, you know it's not about that. Chill, team, chill. Don't get it twisted. I was just asking a perfectly innocent question. No, you weren't.
The heck you were.
It looks like you got a mean defense team there yourself, Miles.
And, I am a prosecutor.
Yep, and I'm an attorney. You could be one too. I'm serious. Well, I've said my piece. You change your mind, you know who to call. I'll be waiting.
Follow in my father's footsteps? Can I really do such a thing?
I'm gonna become a defense attorney, just like my dad.
An attorney, like my father. Me? End of episode 2. Whew. Okay. I gave it a couple hours, nearly-ish. I don't think my throat can stand another 2 hours, so we will be switching games. That's going to be the end of the episode for YouTube. And I may have to change tomorrow's game up a bit. Just until I'm back in, like, fully functioning order. So that's a goodbye to YouTube until next time. Thanks for watching.